Even though Clemson baseball has never won the College World Series, they are historically the best baseball program in the ACC.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Clemson podcast. I'm your host, John Bivens. You can follow me over on X right here at I am John Bivens. Hey, thanks so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you listen to podcasts at, and also video over on YouTube. We are a part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Here on the Locked On Clemson podcast, we are all sports, all passion, and all of the time. We are here to let you know everything you need to know about Clemson sports. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with your friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now free on Google Play and the App Store. Game on. Today is Friday, May 3rd. Welcome to the podcast. We're so glad you're here. Today's episode, we're going to talk all about Clemson baseball. We're going to talk about three main areas. One, postseason baseball in College World can be kind of confusing. So we're going to walk through exactly how the postseason works and the format for all that kind of stuff. We're also going to go through Clemson's history. What is our history when it comes to the ACC tournament? What's our history when it comes to the NCAA tournament? Clemson is the best baseball program in the ACC. Why is that? We're going to walk through all of that. And then we're going to kick off. We're going to end it with a new segment, as we've done every day this week, called Friday Flashback. We're going to go through and just flash back to some either an important date in the history or just some kind of fact about the history of Clemson sports. So today is all focused on the Clemson baseball team, and it's going to be great. So let's start off. Baseball postseason can be confusing. When we're talking about the postseason of baseball, unless you follow it, it can be hard to get into. I remember years ago when I first tried to get into Clemson baseball and College World Series and ACC tournament and all that, I was so confused because I was like, how does this work? I don't understand how this works. I don't understand the complexity of it. I don't understand any of that. So it took a little bit, but today, I just want to start this off where if maybe you don't know anything about College World Series or the ACC tournament, you don't know how that works, but you want to, hey, we're going to let you know. So the ACC tournament, it is not that complicated. It is not like basketball where every team gets in. It's actually like basketball is going to be next year where only a certain amount of teams get in, and if you don't make that cut, you just don't get to play. And so last year, for example, we're going to use last year as kind of the play. We're going to use last year as the example because that we don't have this year's yet. So last year's, what they do is they take the 12 best finishers in the ACC regular season. The top 12 make the tournament. Last year, Louisville, Florida State, weren't in the top 12, so they didn't make the team. And then so all of those teams are filtered in, and they rank them in pools A, B, C, and D, and it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So pool A is 1, 8, and 12. Pool B is 2, 7, 11. C is 3, 6, 10. D is 4, 5, 9. And so that's how it's ranked. And then after that, it starts off with, it's a double elimination tournament, or it's a round robin style. Sorry, it starts with round robin, which means every team plays every other team. So last year, we were the 3 seed. We played the 6 seed and the 10 seed. So we played Boston College, and then we played Virginia Tech. And then whoever has the best record out of those games moves on to the next round, moves on to the semifinals. If there's a tie, the tiebreaker goes to the highest seed. So say Clemson went 1-1, Boston College went 1-1, Virginia Tech went 0-2. Well, Clemson would advance because they have the higher seed. So that's how that works. So then after that goes through, one team advances from Pool A, one team advances from Pool B, one team advances from C, one team advances from D. And so they advance on. In the semifinals, they're played in a basic single elimination format. So the winner of A plays the winner of D, the winner of B plays the winner of C. And so they play, and then after they play, they go on to the finals, and they play for one game in the finals, the winner of those. So basically, you win and you're done. You get those through that first pool. You play both the teams twice. Whoever has the best record advances, and then you play elimination style. You have to win 2 more games out of that. So you can get out of the ACC tournament winning 4 or 5 games, and you're the champion. So much different than basketball, right? Much different than basketball. And so that's the format of the ACC tournament. That's how the ACC tournament works in basketball or baseball. What is Clemson's stat? What's Clemson's status when it comes to it? Clemson has won the ACC baseball championship a total of 11 times. 11. That is the most tournament wins out of any Clemson or out of any ACC team. We have won the ACC tournament 11 times. Really good, right? Like that's a lot. That is the most out of any team at all. And so when you go through earlier on, teams different one. We won our first one in 1976. Then we won in 1978, 1980, 81. We didn't win again until 89. Won 91, 93, 94. Then again had a long break. Won in 2006. Another long break, 2016, and then we just won last year in 2023 out in Durham. So we've won it 11 times, and I'm saying we started off saying we have won. We've won the most, so that makes us the best in the ACC, right? When it comes down to it, who's won the most championships? Clemson. We're the best. When it comes to program history, we're going to talk about NCAA tournament. Clemson is the best school in the ACC when it comes to Clemson. When it comes to college baseball, based on results. The second most team to win it is Georgia Tech. They have won it a total of 9 times, and then right behind them is North Carolina with 8. The next after that is also Florida State, has 8. They've fallen off recently in the past year. But yeah, the only stat we're not winning is Florida State does have a better win percentage when it comes to the ACC tournament. We've won about 0.611 is our win percentage. Florida State sits 5.9. But yeah, that overall we're playing great. Like we have better stats, we have more wins, we have more appearances, we have more titles than every other school, and so that's why we're the best team in the ACC. And then, so in just a moment, we're going to move on. That's how the ACC works in postseason. Okay, now let's move on. How does, not just the ACC, how does the NCAA tournament work? How does NCAA College World Series, how does that all break down work when it comes to college baseball? We'll talk about that and more in just a moment. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because of eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. We're so grateful for eBay for sponsoring this episode. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast. Hey, so we talked about ACC tournament, and so hopefully that makes a little bit more sense to you. Now moving forward, let's talk about the NCAA tournament, the College World Series. How does that work when it comes to basketball? How does that work when it comes to Clemson baseball? Well, it's not as complicated as you think. It can be complicated, and so we're just going to walk through real quick how it works. So the NCAA tournament, the baseball is kind of seeded, kind of like basketball. It is seeded 1 through 64. Different conference champions get an automatic bid to the tournament, and then it's selected based on results, and there's a selection process, all that kind of stuff. And so in that aspect, in the selection and how many teams are a part of it, it's very much like basketball, very much like that, where it's kind of this long process. top 64 teams get in. Other than some minor conferences, they get their champion put in. So it's kind of like that. And then after the selection process, it narrows down from 64 to 16, and then to 8, then to 4, then to 2. And so there's a total of 4 stages when it comes to competitive competition for the tournament. And we are getting all this from NCAA.com. And so there's a total of 4 different tournaments. The first round, the 64 teams are split into groups of 16, and it's ranked 1 through 16, 17 through 32, 33 through 48, and then 49 through 64. It's ranked just like that, and so the teams are ranked in the groups. There's 16 different groups. And each of the top 16 teams in the nation host a regional matchup, which is the first round. And what that is there's obviously 16 groups, so each group has 4 teams. The top seeded team, 1 through 16, host that site. And so they're playing. If Clemson hosts it, and they host it all the time, they've hosted so many Clemson regionals. It would be called the Clemson Regional, and every game, every team plays in that group of 4 is played at Clemson University at Doug Kingsmore. So if Clemson, Georgia, Northeastern, and Syracuse were put in a regional matchup, I just pulled those. That's not who's projected. But those 4 are playing. So Clemson would play in the first 4 rounds. It's a double elimination tournament, which means basically the last team to lose 2 games advances on. So Clemson would play Georgia. Syracuse would play Northeastern, and then Clemson would play Northeastern, Georgia would play Syracuse, and then Clemson would play Syracuse, Georgia would play Northeastern. You would just keep playing each other. Every game would be at Clemson, even when Clemson's not playing. The other teams would play at Clemson if they're in the Clemson Regional. And then the last team to lose 2 games goes into the next round. So it's double elimination until 3 of the teams lose 2 games. After that regional, there will be 16 teams left, right? 16 regionals, 1 team advances. It goes on to the super regionals. The super regionals it's split into 8 different pairings. So there's 16 winners. They divide those up into 2 teams. So out of the 16 left, they will match up 1 and 16, 2 15, 3 14, and those 2 will play in the super regionals in a best of 3 series. So if Clemson wins the first round of the regionals, they go to the super regionals, and then they play against some other team that also won our regionals in a best of 3 series. And so then after that, obviously there's going to be 8 winners of that. Those 8 winners, now we're moving from the NCAA tournament to the College World Series. A lot of people misunderstand. They think the College World Series is something that is the whole tournament. No, the College World Series is the 8 winners and on. And the College World Series is hosted every year in Omaha. It is a monumental moment. If you haven't had a chance to go to Omaha, you got to go. I haven't been yet, but I've heard it's amazing. Would love to go into that. And so the College World Series is split, and it has 3 rounds in the total in the College World Series. First round is 8, and they are split into 2 double elimination brackets consisting of 4 teams each. So there's 4 teams on both sides, double elimination bracket, kind of like that first regional. But in this situation, the top 2 advance. So the top 2 from each 4 go to the next one, and they face off in the World Series, finals. Sorry, the top 2 from each side. So it goes from 8, then it goes to the World Series, College World Series finals, where the winners of those 2 4 double elimination tournaments face off against each other. And in those face off, it is a best of 3 series to decide who is the NCAA championship. So you got the regionals, which is 64 teams in 16 different groups, double elimination, and then the top seed or the last one to lose 2 games goes to the next one. Super regionals, 16 teams divided up into 8 groups, so there's 2 teams playing each other, best of 3 series, next one moves on. Then it goes back into 4, there's 8 teams left, groups of 4, double elimination tournament. Last one to lose 2 games goes on to the finals. 2 teams left playing a best of 3 series to go on. So very simple way. Double elimination, groups of 4, best of 3 series. Double elimination, group of 4, best of 3 series. That's how it works. That's the format of the College World Series finals. That's it. So Clemson has been a part of this many times. They have been a part of the conference of the NCAA tournament so many times. Clemson has made, so going through our history, Clemson has made 12 appearances in the College World Series. Again, that is not the NCAA tournament. That is not the round of 64. That is the final 8 teams. They've made the final 8 teams a total of 12 times. Unfortunately, they have never won the College World Series. We have never hoisted the trophy in Omaha. Our all-time record in the College World Series is not great. It is 12-24, so we lose 2 games to every game we win. It's rough. That's a rough win. But here's the stat. Here's the stat that I think really sets us apart from every other ACC team. Since 1987, which is how many years is that? That's 23 plus 24, so that is 47 years. 37 years. In 37 years, we have made the NCAA tournament, the round of 64, every single season except for 3 seasons. In 37 years, we've made it 34 out of 37 times, not counting COVID. So 33 out of 37 years, but one doesn't count because COVID, they didn't have any. We have made it every single season to the round of 64 consecutively and only missed 3 seasons since 1987. That is huge. That is a huge, huge moment. That is a huge feature. Clemson is elite. They're consistently good. One of the things we talk about a lot on this podcast is consistency. How can Cade Klubnik be consistently good? Can Dabo be consistently recruiting? Can Brad Brownell be consistently good and make it to the tournament another year? You want to talk about something that is always consistent? Clemson baseball. Do they win every year? No, but they get to the 64. They get in that tournament. They give themselves a chance every single time. Every time. And so that's Clemson's history. We've made it to the tournament a lot. We've been regional champions, which you remember that first round of regions. That is the regional champion round, the first 4 matchup when 64 goes to 16. We've been regional champions a total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 12. We've been a regional champions a total of 15 times since our first one was 1976. Our last one we did that was a while ago. We're in a little strut, was 2010. Our College World Series appearances was obviously those years when we were regional champion. A lot of those regional champions, we made it to the World Series. We've been in the World Series a total of 12 times. Our last one, again, was 2010. Unfortunately, that was a while ago. But yeah, so we've been there. Clemson is a team that has proved they can get there. We've just got to get over the gap. We've got to get over the hump, and we've got to win. And so the last thing we're going to talk about with Clemson history before we move into that Friday's flashback is obviously if you're a Clemson fan, you know our biggest rival. It's our little brother down in the armpit of South Carolina in Columbia, and we've got a huge rivalry at the University of South Carolina, UOSC. The real USC is in California. You're not going to get that, but the University of South Carolina, we have a huge rivalry with that. There's actually a quote by Baseball America. It says that this rivalry, Clemson versus South Carolina, is far and away the most compelling rivalry college baseball has to offer. This rivalry is intense. Mark Etheridge of SE Baseball says that it is college baseball's most heated rivalry. Y'all think Clemson and South Carolina hate each other in football? They do. You think Clemson and South Carolina hate each other in basketball? They do. But baseball, the hate between these two programs is escalated above everything when it comes to the athletes, when it comes to the people that are actually truly deep into the fandom of the sports. They hate each other. And Clemson is not being close. They are beating this series very, very heavily. We lead all time 188 to 145 to 2. This year was supposed to be a back and forth home or neutral site matchup. And this year we did not get that. And so what it's supposed to be is you're supposed to have neutral site, and then one at one of the team's stadiums. This year was supposed to be neutral site for Clemson is always in Greenville. Neutral site for South Carolina is in Columbia, the Firefly Stadium. And then they're supposed to play in Columbia this year. We only played South Carolina twice this year, and we won both times. We were supposed to play a third game. We didn't happen because of rain, because of good old weather. Wasn't rescheduled, and we ended up winning. So I had to throw that a little bit in there about South Carolina and Clemson rivalry because Clemson baseball, one of the main parts of it is the rivalry with South Carolina. But as you can tell, historically, Clemson baseball is one of the best teams in the nation, especially in the ACC. We're the best team. We're the best program when it comes to college baseball. We've got to pick it up. It would be huge to make a College World Series this year. We haven't done that in 14 years. It'd be amazing to make that. We're on slate to host a regional in like a 3 or 4. We're supposed to be the overall 3 or 4 seed, and so it's going to be good. We're in danger of we got to make sure we host that. Overall, we feel really good about Clemson baseball right now. Got to feel great historically and this year. This year they are killing it. They got a doubleheader today against Georgia Tech. They play them again on Sunday. Make sure you watch some games. It is amazing. Clemson baseball is on fire right now. And historically, we are the best team in the ACC. And so in just a moment, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about our Friday flashback for today, that news segment. And we're going to talk about that and more in just a moment. All right. Game off. We got to pause here, and we're going to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know some of you are saying, foul ball, flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. You can get unique stickers that you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. You can get cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. You can get hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique minigames like digging for treasure or a robot machine. And there's always new time events that help you win big, like massive multipliers or everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench, go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast. And so we've talked about Clemson history when it comes to the ACC tournament. We've talked about Clemson's history when it comes to the NCAA tournament. We've talked about all that, right? And it's great. We're excited. We've proved that that's happened. Now, every day this week, we've kicked off a new segment. We had Monday Momentum. We had Tracking Tuesday, Worried Wednesday, and Turbulent Thursday. And now we're kicking off Friday's new segment here on the Locked On podcast for Clemson, of Friday Flashback. And so what that is every single Friday, most Fridays, we are going to come out and we're going to talk about some kind of Friday flashback. That could be something that important happened on this day in history throughout the Clemson University, Clemson sports. It also could just be looking back in history, taking a little bit of history of Clemson and celebrating where it is now. And so today, we're talking all about Clemson baseball, right? We talked about how we're the best team in the ACC, talked about how we have a good chance of winning the College World Series this year, talked about history. Well, now we want to go through, and we just want to celebrate. Right now, we have a total of 9 players playing in the MLB. One is injured, but we have a total of 9 players playing. We just want to celebrate those players, talk about who they are, talk about where they've been. That we just want to walk through there and kind of highlight them. I think that'd be really cool to do, really cool to walk through. And just highlight that. And so first up, we have Steven Duggar. Steven Duggar is the most recent player drafted and playing for an NFL team. Steven Duggar played at Clemson from 2013 to 2015. He has been with the San Francisco Giants since 2018. He's played with them. He's their only team. He's a great outfielder. If you watched him at Clemson, he was great, right? He was a great player. He was fun to watch. He was a good player. I really enjoy seeing him. And he's playing great in San Francisco. He's starting most days, consistent bat. I think career he's hitting like a 270. He's a good player. He's a really good player. Next up, we got Brad Miller. Brad Miller was drafted in 2012. He was a shortstop. He played with Clemson from 2009 to 2011. He's played with the Seattle Mariners, played with Tampa Bay Rays, Milwaukee Brewers, Cleveland Indians, Philadelphia Phillies, and the St. Louis Cardinals. He's kind of bounced around. He's been a little bit more of a utility player, but he's great. We love him. You also have Seth Beer. Seth Beer is one of my favorite players. I love watching him. Plays for the Pirates right now. He's kind of bounced around a AA, AAA, home run, or MLB. He's 27 years old, but he plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. He's a good player. He's a left-handed bat, throws right, bats left-handed. Right now, his MLB's through the 22 season. He has 208, batting average, 2 home runs, and 12 RBIs. He played with Diamondbacks from 21 to 22, plays with the Pirates right now. He's a first baseman and an outfielder. So Seth Beer's pretty fun. He's one of the players that I really like getting on Diamond Dynasty. 2 years ago, he was a card because he had a good moment, hit a home run where he was on the Diamond Dynasty, and his card on the show was crazy good. Just a random fact in there for you. But we also, moving on, we've got Mike Foreman. He is a former baseball. He doesn't play right now, but he played for the Diamondbacks, Mariners, Dodgers, Cubs, Indians, and the Reds. He was a second baseman. Moving on, we got Daniel Gossett. Daniel Gossett is a pitcher. He's currently a free agent, but he just played for Oakland A's. I'm sure he'll get picked up. He's a great pitcher. You got Dominic Lee, who's another pitcher. Right now, he's for the White Sox. He has played for the Mariners, the Diamondbacks, the Blue Jays, and the Cardinals. Right now, he's pitching for the White Sox. We talked about Brad Miller. We talked about nuts up. We got Steven Wilkerson. He played for Baltimore Orioles. He became the first MLB position player ever to record a save. So Clemson's got history. The first player ever to be an MLB position player, meaning playing catcher first, second, short, third, or anywhere in the outfield, to record a save pitching. So he went in, got a save for him. That's a cool stat. You got Weston Wilson, who's an infielder. He made his MLB debut actually this year for the Phillies, or actually last year, correction. Last season he made his debut. He played for the Phillies, made his debut. He's in minor leagues right now, but he plays for the Phillies. He's an infielder. And then last but definitely not least, our most dominant player in the MLB right now, and he's one of the most dominant pitchers in the MLB, is Spencer Strider. I don't know if y'all know that. Some of y'all Clemson fans might not know that if you're a Braves fan. Spencer Strider, the ace, right now he's out with Tommy John. He's going to come back. He was favored to win the Cy Young in NL this year. He is a Clemson alumni. He tore it up in Clemson, played well for us, pitched really well. And now he's doing really well with the Braves. So we're hoping he comes back from injury real healthy. He hopes that Tommy John surgery goes well and heals him completely. And he's going to come back and go back to that Cy Young performance that he can be. And so that's our Friday flashback. Not only is Clemson historically good as a team, we've got MLB players. If you go through and look at all the Clemson players that have played in the NFL or in the MLB, it's such a long list. Granted, a lot more in the 90s than recently, but still, we've got some great teams. We've got some great players playing there, and I feel like we're going to have some more in the future. I think there's people on this team right now, Cam Cantarella, Jimmy Alderberger. There's so many players on the team right now that could play in the MLB. So Clemson is historically the best team in the ACC, both team success and player success. And with that being said, that is going to end it. That is going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Clemson podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a great episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Monday's episode, we're going to dive into another segment of our Monday Momentum, highlighting this weekend, some kind of momentum factor. And we're also going to dive more into football, preparing for this upcoming season. But let me know your thoughts on today. Let me know what you think on Clemson baseball. What do you think about the program? Where do you think that we are? You can reach out to me over here at I am John Bivens over on Twitter. You can also email me at thetigerwire@gmail.com. I'd love to hear feedback on what we talked about. If you haven't, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast and following wherever you listen to your podcast at. Hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. That way every day can be your first listen here on the Locked On Clemson podcast. We can't wait to see you on Monday's episode. Have a great weekend, and as always, go Tigers.